Welcome to another edition of Marketing Unleashed. It has been a day. So I'm filling in right now I'm taking two chairs right now, filling in for Elisa because she's having some tech issues. Hopefully she'll be able to join us later on in the show. She's rebooting. She shared me a screenshot of like her computer's like rebooting. It's like 4 minutes out. So we'll see if that all works. But we are so happy for you guys to be here with us. As always, we would love for you to sprinkle the love across the interwebs. Today, we are going to be talking all about Instagram with one of my favorite people in the whole world. What's her name again? Peg Fitzpatrick. Yes, her name. And so we would love it for you guys. Make sure you ask your questions as we're going today. Ask them down below. Also, if you know of somebody who this is just amazing and you're like, oh my gosh, look at all this cool stuff, feel free to mention them down below. Even if they can't make it live, it's great to have them join us for the replay. We try to always jump in there and answer questions. So Trona is here. She was our guest last week. Hello, Trona. So good. She is a faithful viewer and watcher. Appreciate you guys coming here. And then we've got also a photography by Brian. Hello, good evening all from Barcelona. It was great to see you here, Brian. So awesome. So get your Instagram questions ready. So if you don't know who my guest is, she's amazing. I've known her all the way back into the Google Plus days. I actually remember, when I first messaged her, some question I had about Pinterest or something. But if you don't know who she has appeared on National Public Radio, Bloomberg Business, The Huffington Post, co-author of the book, The Art of Social Media, Power Tips for Power Users. And Peg has this just crazy ability to keep conversation moving on Instagram, and we wanted to know how she does it. So we're going to be talking and picking her brain today all about Instagram. It's going to be amazing. So get your questions ready. I want to say hi also to Ashley from Seattle. She is here. Laura, she is a faithful viewer as well. Thank you for stopping by. Anna's here from Raleigh, North Carolina. And of course, this is funny, Rip. We still miss Google Plus, don't we, Peg?
We miss Google Plus. Yeah, I have to say I've known Jeff so long. He didn't have a beard.
That's a long
You
time.
had no beard. You had a baby beard. Like it was a little teeny, like kind of scruff.
Yeah, it was pretty. We've got some people coming in from Dorset. I think I said that right. United Kingdom. Very, very cool. So, Peg. Oh, by the way, I think Elisa's joining. Let me see if I can bring her on really quickly, folks. Let's see if it works. She is in the green room. I'm going to flip to a different screen. Hopefully Elisa will work and she will not touch her computer ever again. So Peg, I'm going to move you over to the middle spot and bring Elisa to this spot. Elisa, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Now, I don't know. I just want for all our viewers, I want you to know how many times I say Lisa waits to the last minute. And today it got you. It got you.
It wasn't my fault. I started way early and I had an update apparently. So
did you have a Google update, a Chrome update? That's what I had yesterday.
Yes. So sorry to be
late.
You
can do those settings so they'll do it at night, the updates. Just saying.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you made it because it was funny because she was trying to log in with her phone and we couldn't hear her. The sound wasn't working and she just showed her screen of like we had 3 minutes to boot. So we knew what she was doing. So
thank you.
Yes. Oh, by the way, it's in case, something that you don't want to wait till the last minute like Elisa has done. You want to make sure you guys check out our Insta Planner at bit.ly/Insta Planner 2021. That's all lowercase, all smashed together. So, Elisa, tell people what this Insta Planner is all about.
Yeah, so this will help you to know what you should be sharing in the month that you're in. So I don't know about you. I'm pretty sure Peg always has something to post.
She does.
But I am lacking in ideas for Instagram. So this will be great for you if you need that. Like special days coming up, trends, hashtags, all kinds of good stuff you might need.
Those are very, very helpful. So Insta Planner 2021.
I just loaded it. It's very pretty too.
Oh, thank you. I'll tell Justine.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a great resource, so you should grab it for sure.
Yeah, make sure you guys grab that. We'll bring it up later. We've got a bunch of resources we're going to tell you about today. But one of the cool things, and since you came in late, we didn't discuss this, so you're gonna have to pick them. But let's do the prize. Let's do one at the beginning. Let's do one in the middle, and then one at the end, so we get people to stick around. So this is a very, very cool thing that we're gonna give away. So I already introduced Peg. Everybody knows who she is because she's amazing.
Okay, good.
So what we're giving away is Peg. Tell them about this course you just made for Skillshare, because that's what we're gonna give away. Can you talk about that?
Okay. Speaking of ideas for Pinterest, I'm sorry, for Instagram. I see you guys and I think Pinterest immediately.
Right.
So for Instagram, if it's hard for you to come up with ideas, this is a great way to have you can do a big group of Instagram posts together in a puzzle feed. So you've probably seen it before on Instagram when people have like a big, long, all coordinated feed that matches. So I did a class on Skillshare on how to create puzzle feeds, because it's more than just creating the graphics that look good together. You also have to come up with the captions for each one of those. They all need to make sense. So there's a lot of different pieces to the puzzle. Sorry, that was so bad. But it's true though. Like it's not just the image or just the caption, as everything is on Instagram, like how it works together. So I made a class on how to do it from beginning to end, so it makes sense. And Tailwind is giving away a couple free classes today.
Yeah. So here's if you want to check out the her actual course, this is the link to go look at it. It's skl.sh/2zbvcmr. I'm saying it for the podcast listeners. So skl.sh/2zbvcmr. So you can check that out. But we're going to give one away right at the beginning here. So randomly, because you're very random this morning, Elisa, pick somebody, one of the, and you have to be here live to win this. So we're going to give one away now, one in the middle, and one at the end. So randomly pick somebody. Just close your eyes and point.
Randomly picking Megan C. from Benson, North Carolina. If you will send an email to me, elisa@tailwind.com, we will get you into that course.
Say that name again one more time so they may not have heard it.
Megan C. from Benson, North Carolina.
Okay, so make sure you comment in that so we know you have to be present to win. So
she's here. She's commenting.
Okay, good deal. Awesome. So one down, two more to go. So stick around. The prizes have not stopped. So very, very cool. So all right, that's out of the way. We've got the URLs out of the way. We've introduced Peg. So let's talk about Instagram. So
let's talk about Instagram.
Is it still worth it, Peg?
What say about Instagram?
So I have really slacked off on my Instagram. I want to know.
Yeah.
Is it still worth it in today's day and age with all these different platforms? Why do you still like? My voice just cracked like I was a teenager. Why? I'm just going through puberty. I know. I know you scare me. You used to be a teacher. That's why. But I guess, is it still valuable? Is it worth the effort you have to put into it? Because it's been around for a while. There are constant updates. What are your thoughts on that, Peg?
So here's the thing for Instagram. I still feel like it's where the conversation happens. So I feel like it's where people, even if you're on Clubhouse, people say, send me a message on Instagram. It's where the conversation still happens for many, many people in direct messages or in the comments on Instagram. Twitter, there's still some conversation there, but everybody isn't there anymore. It seems like marketers, and I don't know, it's hard to say. I feel like Twitter is really, that's a whole other topic. But Instagram to me is where the conversation happens. It's where I go comment to people. It's where I go see what my friends have been up to, see brands that I want to do. I hardly ever check things on Facebook. Every once in a while I log in. I'm like worried I'm missing people's birthdays because I don't get notifications. But
right.
I mean, that's kind of the only reason I use Facebook anymore. I think it's really where people are having the conversation. I love Instagram stories. So I like to see what people are doing in their stories. And for me, if I have something going on or something that I want to share, I share it in Instagram stories. So for me, it's kind of like my main sharing place. So if you were like wondering what I was doing, that's where you would look. And I feel like that's the same for a lot of people. Like I catch up with people on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I
like that's where you and I usually.
Pardon me?
I was going to say, it sounds like that's where you and I end up talking, is on Instagram.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that's an important consideration when you're thinking about social media for your own business is, do you enjoy the platform? I mean, sometimes we have to do things even though we don't enjoy them, but it sure helps when the platform's fun.
Right.
Right. And I think that's the thing. If you're a big Pinterest fan, if that's your number one thing, there's really not conversation there, even though they've added things. It's not a place where if you saw somebody's cool pin, you wouldn't comment there and you wouldn't send them a message saying, wow, that's a great pin. It's just not a thing that we do. So Instagram, I think, is an important piece because it's still the conversation. It's still, you can get people to go to the link in your bio. And then if you have 10,000 followers, you can have the swipe up feature to send people to check something out.
So I guess like Tracy Ashton goes Instagram all the way. She's a big Instagram fan. So Tracy, why do you like it so much? Is it just the aesthetic of it? I mean, some people just like it. But I want to know why. I mean, is it the stories? Is it because you can have direct messages? Is it a place for you to escape? So I'm just really interested why people like it. Why people are going there? Because to me, I think Instagram, they're adding so many features. It's getting a little clunky, with the interface. And I'm like, if they add anything else, where is it going to go? So just really interested to that.
Little feedback for Instagram.
Yeah, if they're watching Instagram, like I don't know what I'm doing.
I think it really is where you find people's stories. Stories are one of their features, but it's kind of where people tell their stories more, and you can see the whole story. Where on Facebook, it's really hard to scroll through and see people's things, but on Instagram, it's so easy to look at someone's feed and see what they've been doing, or to click on a story to see what they've been doing. I hardly ever use the highlights. When they came out, I used them. So I think they have added a lot of things. Some stick and some don't. IGTV, not so much, but Reels are very popular, and they are adding tons of features in Reels. So, I think if you want to engage with your audience, which you have to, because that's everything about social media now, is communication and building your community versus just trying to broadcast things, because nobody's interested in that. So I think that's the piece where, whether you're a small business owner or a blogger or a big brand, it's still the place where I feel like people connect. Twitter is kind of like the short, snappy comments again. Like, it's back to like GIFs, and it's interesting to see how social platforms have evolved, because Twitter is more about like not a link to your blog anymore, but more about just kind of like a snappy thing that people will respond to or answer.
Yeah. Like a random thought and also when I'm on Twitter, I always feel like there's probably some political minefield right around the corner.
Oh, you said that? Oh, yeah. We're going to pile on you. So,
and I don't feel that way on Instagram. It's much more relaxed.
No.
So I asked Tracy why she liked it, and she responded. She goes, the ease of us. Stories is amazing. It can be related to your business and your personal life. As a business, it helps you engage with your audience. That is awesome. Thank you, Tracy, for letting us know. I do want to pull up this from Chuck. He goes, I can't tell my reels from my shorts. Little social media humor there. But that's a great point, because I wanted to talk about this because recently, a month or so ago, they in Reels said there was a lot of repurposing of TikTok over onto Reels, and Instagram said, hey, if we see that watermark, it's going to be de-emphasized in the algorithm. But Peg, what are your thoughts? Not just TikTok, because you can actually download that without the watermark and upload it. What are your thoughts about repurposing on Instagram? I know a lot of people say, hey, make content for just that platform. A lot of the social media experts say that, just, concentrate, make it just for that platform. But as business owners and, solopreneurs, it's like, it's hard. If I'm going to make a vertical video, I want it to go everywhere, because it's really hard. So what are your thoughts on repurposing over on Instagram?
That's such a good question. So repurposing, I have tried Snapchat, not Snapchat. That was like so long ago. I was thinking about stories, because stories, I mean, we don't even talk about Snapchat anymore, because stories on Instagram were so good that kind of wiped them out. But TikTok tools are better than Instagram's, even though Instagram is doing a lot. They've added a lot of new stuff, and they're kind of catching up or they're kind of copying a lot, obviously still. The most recent one I saw was that now you can like do the split screen and do the react to somebody else's, which is a huge TikTok thing. I don't blame Instagram for not wanting to see TikTok logo on their platform. And personally, I don't really like when I see them either, but I think one or two of mine does have the branding on it that I put on my reels just because I was testing the tools. And at the beginning, Instagram's just didn't have that much in there. So then, you're in the position of having to like record in a different app and then you're making something. And, it takes a long time to make one good reel where you're sitting there on your phone and you're like, it's a long time.
Right.
I mean, even just the time to do those, like amen to those girls who I see that are, popping out the new reels all the time because it's a lot of work.
Yeah. So, don't forget,
as a business owner, you have to repurpose content because you can't recreate everything. To go back to answer your question. But I think maybe creating it outside of those platforms so it didn't have a logo on it is maybe smarter.
That's a good point. So don't forget, we're going to be giving in about 5-10 minutes another one of Peg's course away. So this is the course right here, but we're going to be giving away. So you want to stick around for that. But one of the things, if you haven't gone to Peg's website, it's amazing. And we want to talk about a specific article that she wrote about Instagram engagement. And I know, Elisa, you had some questions about that. But if you go to pegfitzpatrick.com and just do a search for Instagram, this one will come up that we'll be talking about today. But kind of, Elisa, tell us what, I know she had this cool kind of acronym that is
yes,
pretty cool.
We always love a good acronym.
That's right.
And the acronym is TIME, which is something we don't have enough of. So Peg, we here on this show love a good formula, and it seems like you have a good one there. So tell us all about it.
So basically, time, like you said, we don't have a lot of time. So knowing what you're going to post, how you're going to post it, all those things are important. So the time stands for, just a little cheat sheet of my cheat sheet.
Oh, good.
Time stands for time, intent, management, and engage, because those are kind of all the things that you need to work on. That doesn't even go into design or other pieces. So obviously there's a lot of things, but working on Instagram engagement. So the time, two things to look at your time. One, you want to be smart and have a plan for what you're going to post. So get Tailwind's planner if you're somebody who's stuck. I like to have a theme for the month. I like to, I don't have every post written out, but I like to just have an idea of what I'm going to post. I don't post on my feed as much as I used to. I did do a puzzle feed when I was doing the class because I think it's important to, practice what you preach. And also it was like showing how the puzzle feed works, and also getting people interested in them. Because one of the things when you're doing those is like people get interested to see what's coming up or what's coming next. So it's kind of like a teaser for what's coming up. So it's good if you have like a product launch or something. So the two things for time for engagement is, one, make sure that you take the time to plan, like do a chunk. Don't wait and say, okay, I'm going to post every day this week, but then every day go and look at a blank screen and try to figure out what to post, because honestly, that's why you'll be so sick of Instagram, because it's hard to do it that way. So if you just have a week plan, or if you look at the month and say, I'm going to try to plan X amount of times, make a little plan for yourself. Tie it into other things that you're doing. If you're we can't say we're going away on a vacation or anything. Maybe you are, maybe people are now. But just look at those things. But then the other piece is make sure that you plan some time to actually engage on Instagram. You have to be there. Even if you're not posting, check your messages, comment on some people's things. You don't have to be posting every day. You could still engage in the community and just be like a consumer of other people's posts. Sometimes I'm not posting, but I like to go see stories and see what's new, find out what the new updates are, things like that. And then you want to just make sure you have time to go back and do that. So those are your two pieces for time. Is one, make sure you're giving yourself proper time to plan. Don't wait till that day. Just come up with a plan. Even just work a week at a time. Try to do like 7 days, or if you want to do a month and post twice a week or something, choose what you want to do and stick with it. Just make a little plan, stick with it. Having a plan will make it take less time, even though it seems like that makes it take more time. You guys know what I mean, right?
Yeah, I have no plan.
Oh, yeah.
So, Hazel, this is a great question. So Hazel goes, what is a puzzle feed? Which is a great
Right.
question.
That is a good question. Hazel, that is a good question. I think I can show it on my phone. Let's see if it'll show. So it's when you create an Instagram series of posts that all match. Oh, I can see you can see it right here. So here on my phone, this is my puzzle.
It's like
feed.
one big
Oh,
image.
a little
That's so pretty.
reflection. There
Yep.
we go. So all those posts go together. That I did it. It's a series of 21. So I created it and then I had almost the whole entire month. So you have one post, but then, so there's individual posts like this, which is so hard to see in there. So sorry. But then it goes into like the whole big picture. So when you look at that, it looks like one big graphic, but it's actually 21 separate little squares. And you can do them in different series. Sometimes you see people just do 3, sometimes you see 6, 9. You can do different groups. But honestly, it's nice to do a big plan like that where you have a whole bunch of them. If you're a blogger, it's really easy, then you can just fit your content in, you can change the pictures. I actually did that one, and there's a picture of my little puppy on there. And I actually created the grid knowing I was getting my puppy in like a week, and then I put her picture in. So you can create it and then update the images as you go. That one was a big Canva image, and then I split it into separate pieces in a different app. So if you check out the class, you can see that I wrote out how to do it. But if you scroll around or even just search for #puzzle feed on Instagram, you can see other people's puzzle feeds. So they're kind of cool. I mean, one of the cool things about Instagram now is it's not as polished as it used to be. It used to be everything had to be this perfect picture and, does it look just right? Is the lighting just right? We've moved a little bit away from that. I think the TikTok has kind of made things a little bit more fast and not as perfect. So, which is nice. But Instagram doesn't have to be a perfect feed like that. But if you are a person who wants to have a plan and maybe get really on target, say you're a jewelry business and you're going to have your summer stuff out, you could create a grid like that and put different pictures in for products, have it all tie together, talk about your brand. I usually use those to talk about, since it's going to take up a big scrolling thing, I use it to talk a little bit about myself, maybe like an introduction post, maybe talk about a few things that are important to me so people kind of get an idea of who I am when they're scrolling through and looking at it. So it creates a really nice cohesive feed. I still think puzzle feeds are really a cool thing to create. And I have a bunch of tips and tricks in the class, but one of them that I love that I'll share right now is that you can go to Creative Market and you can search for puzzle feed and you can get like templates in Canva for them. And then you can just customize it and change all the colors. Also, Easel also has some templates, easel.com. Is it easelapp.com?
No, I think it's just
I think it's Easel.
EASIL. EASIL.com. They also have some templates for puzzle feeds and an article on how to do it. So there's a bunch of different resources for that. But that's like a very specific thing. But you don't have to be that specific on your Instagram unless you want to create like a really branded, cool, if you're a brand, if you're a blogger or an influencer, it's a really cool way to showcase, who you are. And when you look at that and you go to my website, they go together. Like you think, oh, that, you get an idea who I am.
Mm-hmm. Totally. So Amanda goes, does it work for a food blogger? And I'm like, yeah, I've seen some great food bloggers. Almost anything would work with it. Except maybe a puzzle company, puzzle feed. No, a puzzle feed would work. That would work. So,
a puzzle feed would definitely is an imperative for them.
Yes, that's right. So, so lots of great questions. So that was, sorry we got off on puzzle feeds, but that was a great question, Hazel. Thank you for asking that because we always assume that people know, and what happens when you assume. So we talked about T for TIME. So what's the I stand for again?
Wait, before we move on from that, so let's tie it all back in with engagement on Instagram. So what part does that T have to play with engagement?
Well, there's the when you post time. I forgot that too. There's a lot of different time elements in Instagram. So the time, rephrase your question for me again. I just remember the time to post and I got off. What was your question again?
Oh, the question is the item of T in your acronym. How does that play or help with engagement.
Okay. So time to post is the one that I didn't go to. And you can look in Instagram and you can see when your followers are most online. And that is the best time to post. But I feel like people still don't use the tools that are built right in. So if you have a creator account or a business account, which you should if you're a business or a blogger or anybody who's doing any monetary things, you do get a little bit more information. And you can look in Instagram and see, what time people are on. So I get a big difference if I post at 8 or 9 in the morning. If I forget to have a schedule and I wanted to post something and I randomly posted at like 1:30 in the afternoon, it's practically dead in the water. Like there's no one there. It just doesn't get good activity. And I think people really get a good feel for that. And I don't know which came first, me posting my blogs every week at like 8 o'clock, or is that the most popular time? I don't know, but it always seems to be like when I used to always publish my blog posts. So I don't know if that's just kind of when people on the East Coast, are they around awake when I'm awake? It's interesting. I'm not sure. Every account is different though. So if you read things that say everybody should post at X time, that's not going to be as specific as checking your own stats.
So true. Yep. And there, if you use Tailwind, there's that smart schedule in there that will suggest times for you. That might be the best times for when people are on and engaged. Cool.
So,
I was going to ask, is that the same as with Pinterest where it is actually based on your account?
Yep. Yeah.
So that is a very good thing.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
It would be interesting to compare what you're seeing in the Instagram app and what you see in Tailwind to see if there's some overlap there.
Yeah.
So,
the Tailwinds would be more specific.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, it should be for your followers. Yeah.
Yeah. So try that out, people.
So Trona says this. I thought this was good. She goes, I know people from the UK who target their posting times for the US audience so they could grow faster. Ooh, that's a cool little tip there. So very, very cool.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah. So the T stood for, so Diane asked what the T stands for. That stood for time. So now, before we jump into time, let's go ahead and give another course away for our pegs because we're almost halfway in the middle. That's why
I'm not looking. I'm scrolling around and I'm landing on.
Please be me. Please be me.
I'm landing on Carrie Rouse.
So Carrie, if you are here, send us a message.
Yes.
From beyond.
Elisa at tailwindapp.com will be fine.
Yes. See, I guess it's the way her scientific way to do it. The more you comment, the more chance you have because she's just pointing her finger. Very, very scientific. So yeah. So
that's random.
So we have one more left. We're going to do at the end. So stick around because you don't want to miss this, especially if you're interested in these puzzle feeds, which it seems to be a lot of you people in the comments are. So yeah. So
yeah, and make sure you reply if you hear me name you, because if you're not here, we'll pick somebody else.
That's right. Got to reply. So okay, so we got to hustle. I am like the taskmaster to Elisa because she's like, no, I haven't. I'm like, no, we're not even gonna get through the first question. Okay, so we're at I. What does I stand for?
I stands for intent or context. So you want to make sure when you're posting on Instagram that you know what is the reason for your post. If you're there for a business purpose, you need to make sure that each post has intent or context to your brand. So it could be, talking about a new class that you have, or it could be you created a new schedule for Instagram like Tailwind did. So they could, they would have a post that would talk about that. They could do that in a bunch of different ways. It doesn't have to be a straight up like download my thing. It could say, are you stuck on what to post for Instagram today? I was too, but then I pulled out my guide and I used it to create my month of Instagram stuff. So there's different ways that you can, pull in. It doesn't have to be a straight up hard pitch, kind of just to the point. I think you can get that in there, but it doesn't have to be that. But you just want to make sure that every post has a reason. Like it could just be that it's a nice sunny day and your flowers look nice. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's fine. Is it one of the things I'm talking about, just to be clear, like I'm talking about people that are bloggers or influencers or businesses. If you're just a regular person posting on Instagram because you like to post pictures on Instagram, it's totally fine to do whatever you want. We're talking about like people who are bloggers who are using Pinterest and Instagram in their blog to try to make money. So just to be clear, because some people just like to go post pictures, and there's nothing wrong with that, right?
Right.
But the intent, if you're trying for business purposes, you want to make sure that each post has a reason. Is it introducing yourself? Is it focusing on someone in your community? How is this going to help your Instagram account? Does it help people get to know you? Because people like to buy from people they know, like, and trust. So, there's some of that. So showing your face on your Instagram feed every once in a while, which honestly, for the past year is like the thing that I do the least. I take so many, I hardly take any pictures of myself anymore. Where before this, I think it was much more selfies and people, and there's still a lot of Instagram people that are doing that. People who are doing like hair products and makeup and all those kind of influencers are still doing that kind of stuff every day. But for me, I've like backed away from more personal pictures, but you still want to make sure that people see who you are. Stories are a great place to do that too, to just kind of like say hi, touch base, that kind of thing. Yeah.
All right.
I don't know about you, but I've found that I don't share many selfies either, but if I do, I get a ton of engagement on them. And I think it's because I don't do it all the time. It's like, oh, there you are.
Yeah.
Probably do it more.
Because people do care about your face. If they follow your account, they're like, oh, look, she looks awesome. Like my hair I cut off like 4 inches, and it's like a totally darker color. I didn't even post anything about it. I'm like, who cares?
Now people are going to be going crazy. So
yeah, the world wants to know.
So TI, we've got T and I. So M, what does M stand for?
Management.
Oh, I thought it was going to be money.
Which goes a lot with time, but also management, which is, pardon me?
I thought it was money. That's why I was like, close.
Sorry. Well, we're trying to get engagement.
So
you need to manage your comments. You need to manage when you're posting. And then also, if you're creating content, you're scheduling it. You're getting it somewhere like Tailwind, where you can put your things in there. You can write your captions out. You can use their hashtag tool, which is awesome. So management is just doing it in a way that isn't going to kill you, but it's still focused and on track. So if you have a way that you are managing your posts, because there's different pieces that go with, for one post, you have to create your graphic, you have to write your text, and then somehow you have to get these two things together. If you want to have any kind of business purpose and have an account that's doing well, you can't do that all on your phone on the fly, because you're not going to have keywords in there. You're not going to have hashtags. You're not going to remember a call to action for something. And then you can do things like really boost it up by, making sure that you're using some emojis, which people like, and then saying, hey, if you don't have time to read this whole thing, save it for later. Hit that little save button. Like the three engagement things are comments, shares, and saves, which are the pieces that Instagram looks at to see if people are in there. And I think a lot of people miss that you can ask people to save the post for later. Just say, hey, I know we put a whole bunch of tips in here, so make sure you save this one for later. I don't use that one myself a lot, but it is a great one to just remind people that they can do it, because I don't think people remember.
Oh, I never thought of that. That is so smart. I know I do save them. I save quite a few. Do you know if there's one type of engagement that matters more than another in terms of helping get your content out more?
That's a good question. I don't know that. I wish I knew. Okay. I wish I really knew all these things.
I know.
Yeah. Look, I saw something. Pardon me?
You need the bat phone to Instagram so you can just ask them these things.
I know. I did ask them one thing, because I was coming on, and there was one thing that I just saw somebody saying, that if you use the same hashtag groups over and over again, that you were going to get shadow banned for that. Mm-hmm. And I asked 2 different people at Instagram, and they said, number one, they had never heard of that. And number 2, they couldn't confirm or deny it, because they were like, I don't think that's true.
Okay. So I listened to Rachel Peterson's podcast yesterday, and she was talking about that. And she said there was a bug that caused that to happen. That if you reuse the same hashtags over and over again, you would get dinged, but it's been fixed. So I don't know where she got hers or who she talked to compared to you, but that's what she said.
Interesting.
I talked to high-level people in the partnership program.
Yeah, Peg's got the access. All right, so we've got TIM. Yes. We need to talk about E. So, because there's so many questions, I'm rushing you through this because we got so many questions, and I want to get to them for our audience. So, E is what?
Engage. Don't post and ghost. I made that thing. I made that up like 3 or 4 social media marketing worlds ago,
Right.
because it's something that you just can't do. If you're going to post something, make sure that you're commenting on people's posts. If you're not posting a lot, but you still want to, build your community, make sure that you're going to brands that you like and comment on their posts. Other people will see that. They might go and say, oh, I remember she blah, blah, blah. Also, you can use the little heart. You can like other people's comments, which is a great way just to engage. If you post something today, you could go back on the last couple posts that you did and you could like a couple people's comments, and they'll get a notification that you just posted, that you liked that heart. And it's just different little ways like that. I don't like to do anything spammy for engagement, but you can send people a post. Like if you post something and you think they might be interested in it or they might comment on it, you can just share that post to them in a direct message and say, hey, I'd love to know what you thought about this. You could send a voice message. If you have a new follower who you're like super excited about, you could send them a voice message and just say, hey, thanks for, following my account. It's good. Then they get to hear your voice and it's a personal message. It's faster than typing something out.
Right.
I do mostly text. I'm like weirded out when people send videos. I don't want to click on it to see what it is.
It's a little scary, isn't it?
I would start sending you
Right?
videos. I'm just going to start doing it.
I will
she's
definitely not
open
open it.
yours.
100% won't open videos from people. It's just weird. I think
That's
it's
fair.
weird. So voice messages I use sparingly too, because to me it's like very personal, and I don't know, like I don't want to like intrude on people, but I definitely want to say hi to people. So I will send messages or, just I share reels. My daughters and I share reels all the time that we think are funny. So I think that's one of the things about Instagram is it's entertainment. It's funny. It's fun. So you see cute things and you send them to people. So the more you engage with people, the more Instagram will see that you're connected with someone, and it helps with your whole post, your whole account's engagement, and people will see your things, because obviously we know everybody isn't seeing all of our posts.
Right.
That follows us.
Well, I know you would open a video from Ryan Reynolds if he sent you one. I almost
and I wouldn't care what it was either.
It's so funny because he retweets her stuff or he likes it or something.
I love him.
Yeah, she's a big.
I love Ryan Reynolds. Everybody should know that. He's so funny. He makes me laugh. He's so sarcastic.
Yeah. Anyway, so
I'm trying to get him on the podcast.
I know that'd be awesome. So yeah.
So the reason I wanted to have you on for this topic, Peg, I don't know if Jeff told you this or not, but every time I comment on anything of yours, I get a response, and that's not usual. So you have kind of an uncanny way of keeping a conversation going too, which I think is an art form. So can you tell us how you do that and what that does for you?
Well, I'm really lonely at home. And
I don't believe that for a second.
I mean, true, but also funny. I think if somebody takes the time to comment on something, I like to comment back. As long if it's a real person, but especially when it's my friends like you. Like I that actually is where I have conversations with my friends a lot. So it means a lot that somebody says, "Wow, your tulips look great," or "Is that really your barn?" Or it's just. For me, it is the place that I really am intent on answering the questions and comments. And it does really help your post do better if you can continue the conversation in an authentic way. So if somebody asks you a question and you can answer it and then ask them another question to keep the conversation going, it really does help your post do better. But I am actually interested in having that conversation too, which I think is important, right? So that goes back to the intent. Like if you're posting something that you are interested in and somebody comments on it, that immediately says we share something and let's talk about it. Right? I think.
Have you found that different influencers respond? Like some people respond on Facebook Messenger, some people will respond on Instagram messages. I've noticed that a lot too. Like I know if I want to talk to somebody, I know what platform to go on because I know like that person is active there. Have you found that to be true as well? Like for Instagram, like I
think so, but honestly, I'll say that I think Instagram is where a lot of people still are more active in comments. There's a couple people that are still Twitter people. But I think, I mean, in general, you do know who the people are that, like if I, like Dustin, our friend Dustin, he's on Twitter all the time.
Right.
Like,
Mhm.
okay, if I want to see what Dustin's doing, I know to look there. But a lot of people are on Instagram commenting. Even
Right.
people who I see aren't posting are still there commenting.
Yeah, that's what I do. I haven't posted in a long time, and people still message me over there, and I get the notification. So we've got a.
You have notifications on?
No, I mean I go into my Facebook dashboard, the business thing, and it gives you that that inbox. So yeah. So tons of questions. Let me go down. I'm kind of scroll. So so Laura says, Jeff, you're right. So many features being harder to come up with a strategy to be seen, but I think people love it. But yeah, like Peg's point that they like to engage over there. So I think that's very, very true. And by the way, Megan, the first winner, she's in there. So we still only have one to give away. We're going to do it at the end of the show.
Right.
And this is, there was a great one from Chuck. He goes, this is on your puzzle feed. Peg, do you use the same hashtag on each puzzle piece in a given grid, or do you vary them?
I actually varied them because even though it was a puzzle feed where the graphics all were coordinating, the topic of the posts were different. So there was one that was like me introducing myself. There was one with my new puppy. There was, I can't even remember what all my pictures were in there. I gave some tips about Instagram. I talked about what a puzzle feed is because I knew that people would have that question. So they actually had all different hashtag groups because the topics were not the same. So I do have some hashtag groups that I reuse. I'm really trying to use smaller amounts of hashtags, not big, huge groups. So they're more, just so it's more authentic and it just really reaches the right things versus way too many things. So I try to be really thoughtful with my hashtags now and do like maybe 6 to 8.
Okay.
And sometimes if it's not a long post, I definitely do it in the first comment.
So you're saying few now, because this is what Catherine asked. Speaking of hashtags, do you suggest a certain amount per post? So you're trying to kind of pare it down a little bit?
I would say 6 to 8. I mean, it's more important that they're relevant to your post and very targeted than it is to use 30 that don't matter, because you could accidentally have something in there. And especially if you're somebody who's been on Instagram a long time, like I have, sometimes some of my hashtag, the ones in the groups are just like probably not even good anymore. Like anything that has Insta in it, pretty much they don't like.
Do you use like a branded hashtag for your, like, do you do like hashtag Peg Fitzpatrick, or do you do that at all, or anything like that?
I never do my own name.
Okay. I just was wondering for business.
Peg,
I sometimes check it and there are some in there, which is weird.
You taught me something years ago, Peg.
Like
I was getting
branded ones. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. We're having a little delay. Sorry. Yeah, you taught me something years ago. I all of a sudden was getting tons and tons of spam comments on my content on Instagram, and you said, "Are you using a hashtag like social media?" Like hashtag social media. I was like, yes. So yeah, using some of those really generic hashtags can make you a target for that kind of engagement you don't really want.
But sometimes it's one like golden retriever puppies. Like you have to be careful what it is. Like sometimes it's weird ones. So you really like just do 6 to 8 and check them all and make sure, do my images look like they fit with these people's posts?
Yeah.
Is this really important? Is it relevant to my post? Is it going to help me get more views? Like if there's 1 million or 2 million results, you're not going to do well in there. If your account, if there's like under 500,000 results, those are probably good. Even like Mother's Day, like that, it's probably like irrelevant to even use that on your post because so many people will use it.
So speaking of that, because Tailwind has a really cool hashtag, I love their color-coded things, which tells you, which hashtags they're using and all that sort of stuff. Because, and this ties into Nisha's comment, does Insta punish you for using third-party tools? I know that this question's
It depends. And if you're using the real third-party tools like Tailwind, which is an Instagram partner, or if you're using something that is breaking the terms of service, then that would hurt. So
Right.
that's kind of, there's like a yes and a no for that answer.
Yeah. That's a
You
good
need to
point.
use a legitimate tool
Yeah.
that is,
An approved partner.
yes, approved partner, not something that's like, we'll log in for you and do all your commenting.
Yeah, that's always, when they ask you to log in, that always makes me a little nervous, which means
Yeah.
no. So Jenna asked this question: do you have to engage right after you post, or engage when you have time? That's a great question, because there's a lot of gurus out there that say you gotta wait around for that first hour. It's the golden hour, and you need to stay, and all this stuff. So, what are your thoughts on that?
It really is, but who has an hour to babysit a post? I mean, and
Thank
also it
you.
might make you really stressed if nobody was commenting, but I usually post and stay around at the beginning to see if there are comments, because usually you do get a couple right away. Hopefully you get a couple right away, and then you're talking to those people and it helps your post do better. But I don't stay for an hour. I will say I usually post, I will answer things. I check my messages afterwards, and then I try to go to a couple people, check on, comment on a couple other things too. I do stay active, even if I'm scheduling. Even when I schedule thing, I go check to make sure that it posted okay, because sometimes you need to tweak something or fix a typo or something. I don't know. I'm not one of those people who just posts and never goes and looks at it. I just don't think that it doesn't really work on Instagram, I don't think.
Right.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, I won't. No, I don't stick around for an hour, but I always have it so I can go in time to check and try to respond in that first kind of period of time.
At least 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Right.
So this is a great question from Amber. Is there a way to narrow which hashtags are hurting your engagement? That's
a good question. I wish that, what I really wish, if there's one Instagram feature that I could wish for, I wish it would show you which hashtags, like when it shows you that you had like views from hashtags, I wish it would tell you which ones. You have to go through and click on them and pull each one up and look at it. So I think can you pull that question up again just to make sure I answer it specifically?
It was
sorry, did you lose it?
Yeah. So is there a way to narrow which hashtags are hurting
down which ones are hurting engagement? So if you post on something and you had hashtags, I usually click on them to see if my post got up in the top engagement, or is it just in the recent posts. If it's in the top 9, that is like a golden hashtag for you, and you definitely want to create more content around that. Sometimes if it's too broad, and it's just not going to get any interaction. So right now you can manually click on them and I wish there was a faster way, but there's really not. Elisa, can you explain how the hashtag tool gives you the different features in Tailwind? Because I don't want to say it wrong.
Yeah. So it will tell you, I'm going to pull it up because it has different colors, like Jess was saying.
Right. Yeah. It recommends hashtags.
Yeah. It will give you some really competitive ones. It will give you some niche ones, and it will give you some like kind of ideal in the middle kind of hashtags. And the suggestion is, try a mix, but probably mostly you want to do the ones that are suggested as like the best ones. It will give you the better chance of getting found.
Yeah. So basically you do have to manually check that. Like if you've posted something, there's nothing that's going to tell you which ones on that post did best. You kind of have to do a little research yourself and go back. But what my point was, something like social media or Instagood, like there was things that people used to use a lot. So if you're using an older hashtag group, just go check it and make sure that it's still like relevant, or that it does. If there's a thing that pops up, it says Instagram is not allowing this hashtag right now, then that means it's a banned hashtag and you're never going to use that one again. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be a bad word. Sometimes those just get banned because people use them for things.
Right. So speaking of questions to stump Elisa with, this is a great one from Della.
Bring it.
She goes, I'm really wanting to know if Tailwind Create works for Instagram postings. And first of all, tell people if they may not know what Tailwind Create is, and does it work for Instagram?
Well, I just want to say, Della, I owe you for bringing this question up, because yes, it does work. So if you don't know what Tailwind Create is, you need to know, because it is the fastest way to make gorgeous social designs for Instagram, Pinterest, and even Facebook. So if you have an Instagram account, even if you just have a free account, you can use it and you'll be able to see hundreds and hundreds of layouts. You'll choose like the format you want initially. Maybe it's an Instagram story. But then if you like that one, you think, oh, I might want to do a whole series of these across networks. Then you hit the little arrow and you'll see that it automatically rearranges them for each network.
Mm-hmm. It's very, very cool.
It's really great. I love it. I love it for Instagram because when you click on it, when you create one that you really like, you can just one click and it makes like a beautiful pin and Instagram story that match. Yeah. They look so good too.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we're pretty happy with it.
Yeah, very, very
Try it
cool.
out.
So we got about 10 minutes left, so I'm going to go back. There's a lot of questions we still, I mean, there's some really good ones. So we still have one more course of pegs to give away. So if we don't have a chance, you don't get your name picked, you can still go get it. It's very, very affordable. Skillshare is awesome. There's a ton of great courses in there. But here on the screen is skl.sh/2ZBVCMR. So it just rolls off the tongue. It's amazing. But you guys can go check out that in case you don't get a win out of this last few minutes we have together. So this is a great question from
quickly.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you go ahead. Okay, questions. Doesn't Canva do the same thing as Tailwind Create?
No.
Nope.
No.
No, Canva resizes your image. You can resize a Canva image, but it doesn't do the same thing. It what it does is it'll like kind of it takes the image and it makes it into the other sizes, but it moves the stuff around, and it doesn't, honestly, Tailwind Create does a better job of creating a family of posts.
Yeah.
And we're not just saying that, but it's easy also because you can go right into the scheduler. That saves a lot of time. I get tired of downloading and uploading things. I mean, if you're a content creator, you're constantly downloading it from one tool and uploading it to another and downloading it again. Mm-hmm. And having it all in one time is a huge time saver. So wanted to make sure that we talked about that. So
yes. Lateva wants to can I have it? Yes, you can have it. So what you need to do is to go over to tailwindapp.com and start an Instagram account. If you're just using Tailwind for Pinterest, you will not yet see the multi all the different template options. You have to go over to the Instagram side, which I realize is confusing, but it's still in beta and we're working on it.
Yeah, but it's very cool. Make sure you guys check that out. Kristen has this question. Let's see. Here it is. This is a really specific one. I love these. If you're posting for a retail store, should you post about the employees that work at the store? So I could see this for a clothing store. There's probably a lot of young whippersnappers, TikTokers, and they probably create great content,
If I owned a store, I would have them making stories.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
what I would have.
But is there any problem with that? I mean, on another show that I do, we talked the whole thing about this is like, I think it was a paint company recently. The guy in the paint store was mixing these colors and it went viral and it was Instagram and they fired him. It was like a big paint thing because instead of like coming up behind him. So there are some things, but Peg, what are your thoughts on this?
The difference between that was an employee posting versus if you own the store and you were asking the employees if they wanted to be on your Instagram. So I guess if you own the store and you were asking them, that would be great. And if they wanted to create stories, that would be amazing. But if you're an employee in places, which is what's happened to a couple people, I think there was somebody at Target too. If you're wearing your uniform and you're on the clock and you're making videos and you're not supposed to have your phone on the floor, there was a girl also that got fired too because they're not allowed to have their phones on the floor at all.
Yeah. And as an employer, you probably want to make sure you get all the right forms, the release forms, if you're using their content, all that stuff that you would do anyway. But if you can get employees to be an advocate for your brand or your channel, man, I would do that because like Peg said, they would probably make better content than we would.
The kid that was making those paint things was awesome. Those were great videos.
And what happened at the end is a rival paint company hired
him
to market. And that was a big mistake. Anyway, so Holly asked this question. Can we reuse pins to Instagram? We talked about repurposing before. What are you guys' thoughts on this? Peg, you go first.
I would resize that for an Instagram story and use it. And then instead of using a pin, I would go into Tailwind Create and just make one design and then have the right size. You can't use a pin for an Instagram post because the size, you need a square. I mean, they do have like a little bit different sizes, but for in your, no matter what size you post, it's going to show as a square. So stories are a closer size, so you can repurpose things that way, but it doesn't always work exactly. Sometimes you have to stretch it out a little bit or do something different. But yeah, I post things to Pinterest from Pinterest sometimes, and I do the swipe up link, especially when I like doing a recipe and I'm showing how it's done. Then I'll just share the pin and do a swipe up link in case people want to make it.
That makes sense.
Because who wouldn't want to?
What about you, Lisa?
I would use it for story, maybe, possibly. But we only have 5 minutes left, and there's one question I really want to make sure we get to.
Where is it? What is it? Tell me. I may have already.
It is. Okay. Caption tips. So what part do captions play in engagement, and how can we get more from them?
A huge part. They play a huge part in engagement. And I think the key now is you want to make sure your first sentence is not too long, that it's interesting and it piques curiosity, because they cut off a lot of the caption now. It used to be that you could read a lot more of the caption, but it's almost like a line and a half, and then you get the little more thing. So try to start your Instagram caption with something that will really interest people and get them to kind of want to click read more, and then go through and read your post. It's important to ask questions. It's important to make it interesting. I mean, their captions are hard to write. You want to have a call to action, like, save this post for later. You could share tips. Something in the graphic could say like, whatever your topic is, you could have tips in your text. It's great to do bullet points if you have a lot of text to break things up. And I like to use little emojis for the different bullet points. And that's why it's great to do your captions on desktop versus on your phone. If you're using Tailwind, you can just make them in there and add your bullet points and all those things, because you can't do all that on your phone. It just, you lose your place, and it's just too hard to get sloppy. And then you just want to make sure, you're using your, targeted hashtag group that's going to help with engagement. And then sometimes I actually will ask a question in the first comment, or I will answer a question. Like I'll say, what's your favorite blah, blah, blah. My answer is in the first comment below. So you're like, it gives you a comment. It gets the conversation going. You can do a little heart on people's comments. And also another great engagement thing is to, you can pin 2 comments at the top. So I like to do that a lot. Only on your own count, you can go and swipe a comment left, and then you can pin it. So then people will see those top 2 comments that you've pinned. That's great for engagement, because it shows, people might say, oh my God, that's amazing. Or, whatever, if it's something funny, or and when Ryan Reynolds comments on all my stuff, he does it on Instagram. I'm just kidding.
All right. So we are at the end of our time together. Thank you for all your questions and everything, but we still have to give away the final course that Peg has. As you can tell, she is an Instagram genius, engagement on all social platforms. So we're going to have her back. Let us know in the comments if you'd like to have Peg back, because there's so many questions we didn't get to, and we could just do a show just on those. But let's draw for the final winner of Peg's puzzle course. This will be interesting to see.
I feel such pressure here.
Yeah, it's all on you. It's all Elisa's fault. I want you guys to take note of that.
Okay.
So who do we have?
Holly Winchester.
Holly Winchester, you are the winner. Make sure you give us a comment or a yes, I won in the comments, so we make sure that you are here live with us. So thank you guys so much.
A lot of people saying bring Peg back. She needs to come back.
Yes, and make sure that you guys go and visit. If you didn't get her course, I put that up on screen, but also go to Peg Fitzpatrick, get her course. There's a link, I'm sure, there as well. Yep, Holly, she made it. So very, very cool. You guys could share this out to all your friends who like didn't make it because they were over on Instagram messing around. They didn't come to the show, which they should have. Feel free to mention them down below. Call them in. Let them know about this. This is a replay. As soon as we're done, you guys can go back and rewatch what all the awesome things that Peg said. We love you guys. We thank you so much for being here today. All your great questions, great community. Thank you to Trona in the audience, Michelle, Chuck. Always great to see you as well. So thank you guys so much. We will see you guys next week. Bye, everybody.
Thanks for having me.